So I wanted to show how I'm learning how to build AI agents, because AI agents are booming right now, so that I can make them and then sell if I'm fortunate enough. So the first step was to learn to call the Gemini API key. I originally did not start with Gemini though. It was OpenAI API key that I wanted to try, and OpenAI is such a mess. They do not have any free tier that I can use to practice and exercise. So I got stopped there, and then I went to Gemini to get my API key, because of course to begin we need an API key. So it is pretty simple. We go to aistudio.google.com/API keys. You create an API key, touching, yeah, with this button, and then you copy the key. When it is copied, you go to your text editor and you create a file named .env. Now the purpose of this is to secure your key. Now I have already done it. The idea is simple. You go to your .env file and then you write something like uh, you write something like I'm sorry, something like this: your Gemini API key, and then you store it. Whatever it is, you just put your key here. Now this is just calling your this is just getting your API key. Now this is a simple part. I have stored it, just this line, without that hash, of course, because it's not a comment. I have stored this in this file. I don't want to show it because I don't want to make my key public. Okay. Once you're done with that, you have to use um, you start actually start using that API key or calling Gemini API. Now let's see how we can do that. The first thing we try is we simply send a text, our prompt, and then get a result, or the answer to our query. So for that, let's see how it is done. You have to actually install uh, the Google GenAI module for this, because since we are using Python. So for that, you simply run this command in your terminal: pip install -u Google GenAI, or if the documentation says something else, you do that. Once you run that, it is supposed to download all of the necessary things to run the module. Then you import the module, of course, and from that Google module, you actually import Gen AI, nothing else. After that, since we have our API key in the .env file, so we have to also import the .env uh, module and import the load.env function from there. So for that, you also have to probably install uh, your .env module, pardon me, .env. Yeah, so I have already installed it, so there's that. Now after that, you simply load your .env you call this function so that the .env file is loaded and your API key is saved. After that, now this is pretty much how you one of the ways you can store your API key in your main Python file where you're trying to do something. The next main thing is to initialize your client. Now how is that done? You simply write this line: client equals GenAI dot, notice how I use the capital C here, client. You call GenAI with this client method, because what this does is this uh, makes an object called client from the client class. That's how they have designed it. The documentation says you have to do it like this. And after that, so yeah, this was just uh, initializing client. And after this, you have to simply uh, send a prompt. Send a prompt. The main magic happens here. And of course, you have to store it. So we store it in a variable called response. Now, as you know, this is where we're going to call the API and get the result. So as we go on, the uh, syntax is this from their documentation models, and then you have to use this generate content method. In there you can give in parameters. The first parameter I'm going to give is the model parameter. This what this does is the uh, this tells the this tells us how which model we're using. Gemini 2.5 flash. This is the only one giving I could find that was actually free, this model. You can try others or you can pay for others, I believe. And then here you add your prompt in the contents parameter. So since these are parameters, we need to use a comma here, and then contents, use single quotes, double quotes, it doesn't matter in Python. What I'm going to ask now is how tall is the tallest building in the world? Let's see. This now, once we have called this API using this line and stored it in the response variable, look what this does is this goes into the client object and the models object inside that client object, and then it finds the generate content function, and then we have passed two parameters here. The first one was the model we're using, and the second one was the content or the query that we are giving. Finally, we simply want to see the result or the response. Now if I just print the response, I'm going to get a result, and that is going to be the JSON file. As we all know that a function or API call always returns a JSON file, and here you can see this is the JSON. And actually, since we want only the answer to this, we use this key of the dictionary, and for that we go for python dot print response dot text. This would give us just the result, as you can see here. The tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa. It stands at 828 meters or whatever. So yeah, it works. We have directly communicated with the Gemini model, Gemini 2.5 flash model, calling the API, the Gemini API. That was the entire goal. Now, what I want to do next is show you uh, this was okay, but as we always when we are using ChatGPT or Gemini, we do see that the text comes in uh, a stream like parse. So for that, I want to use that stream function. So simply generate content stream. Everything else remains the same. How tall is the tallest building in the world? Now this might be uh, a simple question for a stream. Instead, I would ask for write me a paragraph on, let's say, the what the population crisis. Probably that's what something would come in an exam in a third world country. All right. Is there a problem here? No, I don't think so. Let's just skip the single quotes for I don't know what reason. And look how there is something else. Now the response will get the stream. That's fine. But to see it in the stream, we'll need to use a loop. So for that, I would just go for this for stream. Now this automatically creates that stream variable in Python. That's the beauty of Python here. For stream in response, I would like to print this the text in that stream. Yeah, this should do it. Yeah, I hope this works. As you can see, it did come into a stream, but yeah, the prompt should be different. Let's ask it a why question, like why are people so angry? Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, there you see. It just works like ChatGPT there. Now I am not particularly interested in the answers right now. However, this is how you do it. Also, we do use Gemini or ChatGPT like it's a chatbot, or we simply want to chat with it sometimes. So for that, there is a different Python script. It does nearly the same thing as before. All it does differently is you can directly chat with it. Let me show you what I mean. So for this, we definitely have to import uh, GenAI from Google, and then to load the .env, we need that as well. From .env, import load.env, and then we simply load the .env file, and after that, this is where the magic begins. Now uh, we initialize the client like before. So client GenAI dot client using this method. Nice. There. Now, as we did before, or maybe this is new, we have to uh, use that method where we get the chat from. So that happens like this: client, and in the client object we get the chats object, and in the chats object we have the method called create. So what create with create, we just pass in one parameter, that is the model that we want to use, that is Gemini 2. Gemini 2.5 Flash. Yeah, this is the one I'm using. And once I'm done with that, I go for a loop, because if I want to uh, chat with a bot, it has to be continuous. So for that, we go for an infinite loop. While true, uh, we this is simple Python. We just go for an input string. Yeah, the input function will ask for a string. That would be our message. And when we say that, so now if we say exit, then what the program does, it breaks out of the while true loop. This is necessary if we want to break out at some point. Now in this while true loop, not out of this scope, we want to see the response, because it's a chatbot, or at least mimicking a chatbot, whatever. So this is how it works. We go for chat.send messages because that's the function they have defined in the chat object, and to the reply of the message that we have sent. This is pretty simple, and we on see whatever the message is, and for that, as before, response.text. We might have gotten the JSON, but yeah, we want the text only. So I would be a little careful. That's why I would install GEMINI again and then run it. Let's see. Yeah, there. You can say hi. Gemini should give a reply. Yeah, there. You should say hi, and then yeah, it also becomes friendly. And say, let's ask, why am I? So why are you happy? Let's see. There, the AI text. That's a great question. As an AI, I don't actually feel emotions like happiness in the way a human does. I don't have personal experiences, a physical body, all that. Yeah. So that was the uh, that's how you can chat with the model. Next, Gemini is also a multimodal model. Gemini 2.5 Flash is one. Multimodality means that you can read multiple type of files like an image, a video, an audio file, whatever it is, like we do with in the Gemini or ChatGPT text box, where we upload a file and then uh, ask it about informations from it, right? So this is also quite interesting. Let's see how we do it. For now, I won't be deleting everything. Just let me delete this bit. The rest remains the same. Now the magic what that happens here is you need to create a variable called uploaded file so that you can see you can store the file that you want to upload, right? So client, as before, we use an object in the client object that is called files, and then we use the upload method. With the upload method, we have to pass in the name of the file as a parameter. So for now, I have, as you can see, this image of Matt Murdock because I was watching Daredevil Born Again season 2 yesterday. So yeah, math.jpg, that would do it. You can use any format for that fact, like .jpg, .png, what else is there? .mp3, .mp4, yeah, whatever Gemini is suitable with. Next, we want to store our response, and for that, like before, we use a method in the client object and also an object in the client object, that is models this time. For what this tells us is that we want to use the models object in the client object. The models object has this method called generate content, as we saw in the first code, and then we pass in some parameters. The first parameter is the model I want to use, that is Gemini 2.5 Flash again, and with a comma I give another parameter. Now this time, this parameter is not going to be just a string. This is going to be a list because I want to give it one string that tells the model what I want to do with the file, and then the file name itself. So first one is, let's say, describe the image or describe the file. So let's say we want that, and then we upload the file name, as we have stored it in the variable uploaded file. Yeah, and then as usual we try to see the response and not the JSON file but the text. Yeah, so there. Let's I might hit an error. Oh no, I did I? Wait, something went wrong. I have to clear the terminal. Yeah, now run it. Let's see. Okay, so I should have installed this one before. Uh, there. Okay, now we run it again. Let's see. Mm, it is taking a little time. As it should. Most AI models. There. So this is a promotional image featuring a man who appears to be Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, of course, Daredevil, from the Marvel Netflix series. Here's a detailed description. Subject: a man with a serious, intense expression is the central focus, as it is the image, right? How AI actually explains images. So it would also work with MP3s and videos and whatnot, PDFs as well. So, I haven't tried that yet, but I should at some point. But yeah, uh, so that was enough playing around with the Gemini API key or the Gemini API. At least I can now call it, and I have learned to store the API key in a secure file, because when I upload this, or if I ever upload a project on GitHub, I won't be uploading the .env folder, the .env file. It would be in my gitignore. So yeah, the goal for today was reached. It did take me some time, but yeah, it's great.